friends, welcome to Lisa Marvin Art. I'm at the cottage. I haven't done a video in so long. We just got back from Arizona. We went to Sedona. It was so beautiful, so amazing. And I'm just at my cottage and with my sister, and Elliot and Mo are back home and she's working. So I decided, perfect timing, to do a little video since I probably won't be able to do another one for a while, because after this we are doing other fun things all summer. So I get a lot of questions about how to layer the bloom. I've done so many videos about them, but I haven't done one in a while. So I figured I would do an update. Layering for the bloom and how you layer your transparent and opaque paints is very important. And there's a lot of misconceptions out there on what to do. So first of all, let's talk about what opaque and transparent paints are. I don't have a lot of supplies here, so we're just going with what we can. When you have your tube, normally on your tube, there will be an indication if something is opaque or transparent. So this square is totally colored in, meaning it is opaque. If you have a square that is totally empty, it means it's transparent. And then they do have semi-opaque and semi-transparent. Now, I don't pay attention so much to semis. I'm mostly concerned with opaques versus transparents. And opaques are the one that are the most tricky and important to deal with. Let's talk about why. Opaque paints are very thick, and if you just splotch a layer of the opaque paint on top of your other colors and you don't blow through fully, you will just see that one color of paint. What I like to do is to get what I call peacock cells, which is multicolored cells, is drizzle opaques. What is the word I'm looking for? Purposefully, and that depends where you layer them. So when you layer an opaque paint over transparent paints and you blow through it nicely, the opaque color will kind of blow out but surround the cell, and you'll see the other colors inside, but you have to do it carefully. And where you place it is also important. One of the grand misconceptions that came out many years ago when the bloom started, first, I don't know who started this, but they said you have to start a bloom with an opaque paint. That is absolutely not true. I actually never put an opaque paint at the bottom. You can. Whatever color you put first is the color you'll see most in the middle. So if you just happen to want this, I just hit myself in the face, a kind of thick color in the middle that shows through, then start with the opaque, but I don't find it necessary at all. Another misconception is that you need to put an opaque under a pigment to have the pigment show through. Again, no, misconception. The only thing that matters with opaque paints is how you want them to work within your cells. So either, and for beginners, it's nice to put an opaque in the middle of your colors, and then whatever's underneath will come through. And if you're careful, I like to put an opaque paint right on top as well, and that shows all the colors through. So I found these, so I'm gonna do 4 examples today. I'm gonna do a bloom with all transparent paints or semi. I'm gonna do a bloom with an opaque near the bottom. I'm gonna do a bloom with an opaque near the top. Then I'm gonna do all opaques. Now, as I said, I don't have many colors to choose from. Some have been sitting around for a while. It's like 100 degrees in this room. So it may not be like perfect, but you'll get the idea of what we're talking about. By the way, most pigments are transparent because there's no filler in them. With this little piggy pigments, their neons are actually opaque, so you can use them as opaques. And most craft paints are opaque. You can kind of tell if it looks like there's been white added to it. So teals are always opaque. It looks like white's been added to it. And when you get to like colors like this, they're usually transparent, if that helps. But let's get to our experimentes. Let's talk about the colors I'm working with. For pigments, I have TLP Athena. This is the one I actually mixed up today. And I also mixed up TLP Meteorite. I believe this is TLP, or it could be Liquitex Gold. Maybe I'll just leave it out since I'm not sure of what it is. Then I have this Liquitex Quinacridone Blue Violet, which is transparent. I have this Prussian, oh, it's really thickened up sitting here. I have this Prussian Blue that's been sitting here for a while. Let me just thin that out. And then I have this, which I believe is Diox Purple. So these are all transparent paints. I don't even know, some of these have been sitting, I don't know the pouring medium. The ones that I mixed up today, I had a little bit left of this Bear Dynasty and Joe Sonia. And my Cell Activator is Floetrol. And I found this already mixed up. This is titanium white. Again, we don't know how it's going to work. And the pillow paints I found were this pure white. Or I might use this trichrome black, but it's a bit dodgy. So I'm nervous about it, but maybe I'll try the white. I don't know. I'm nervous because, you know, these are old. Some of them are old, weird colors. But let's see anyways about transparency. Let's see how this white is. Now, oh, I haven't opened it in a while. Okay. Oh, yeah, there we go. You know, needs a bit, oh gosh, needs a bit of a mix. Let me mix it up. This is what happens when things sit around for a long time, and this room is so hot. Okay, so for we should be fine. For this little coaster, I don't want to put too much when I do a coaster because I don't want to have to spin it out too much. Now, depending on everything, this should be fun. We'll see how the blowout goes. I don't know. I'm nervous now. I'll put a little bit more in case. You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay. So, as I said, I actually normally start with a pigment. When I do these, whatever color I want to shine first. You don't have to start with a pigment. So I'll start with this Athena. This is much thinner than this, so I'm going to blow gently. Then why don't I go Diox Purple. I'm just going to drizzle it because it's very intense. Then why don't I go this one? Okay. Now remember, I'm not saying this is going to be the prettiest. Now I'll put my meteorite, but I just want to show you, we're going to look at the cells and cell structure as opposed to looking for anything pretty. Oops. And I'm going to top it off with this blue because I have a white cell activator. Let's hope the cell activator works. I don't know what's going to happen. All right, ready? This cell activator is weird. Do you know what this is? And I can tell by the cells. This is actually a Triart cell activator, and it reacts very differently. So for my purposes, it's actually not going to work because it doesn't give cute little cells. It's actually very thick. And if you like very big cells, this is the way to go. But it's not a good way to show you an example. So eventually I would get cells here, but yeah, yuck. I'm not a big, I know some people really love the Triart. I'm gonna dump it, but I'm not a big Triart person. So luckily I did find my Payne's Gray. So I should make a new cell activator. So let me clean this up, clean out a cup. I mean, I might as well spin it out, but I only have 4 of these, so I don't want to waste. But you can see it's kind of like not expected. Okay, I'll be right back. Let me make the cell activator. Okay, change of plans because my Payne's Gray dried out. So I do have some Liquitex white. Now, I've used it before. It's not horrible. It is just a little chunky mixing it in, so you have to mix for a while. I'll see which one I like better. I do prefer Amsterdam the most, but we'll see if I can get my point across with this. It's just that the Tri-Art, you don't see the layers that I want you to see without having tight cells, and the Tri-Art just doesn't give you that. It's just different. It's not bad. Just not the best for what we're trying to do. Okay, samesies. Athena. Diox. Violet. Meteorite. And Prussian. Now, here I go, taking my glasses off this time. Let's see how the Liquitex is. There are some, it's not fully mixed, but I've been mixing this for 5 minutes and, you know, it's getting tedious. Let's see how she wants to go. Okay. See how it's developing faster than the Tri-Art? So it's not, still isn't as tight as the Amsterdam, but I think better for our learning purposes. So you can see, once I spin it out, that you kind of just see a smoothie of colors, meaning the cells really, with the colors within the cells aren't really defined. They're just kind of smooshed together, and that's not a bad look. Like, you know, I love these flowy pieces here. That's how I create my watercolor blooms, only using transparent paints. But it's just important to know why you use what you're using, and there is a method to your madness depending on what you're looking for. So I'm going to spin this out and you can see. Now, like I said, obviously it would be better if I was in my studio, had all the proper paints, whatever, but I really think this at least will give you somewhat of an example of what I'm talking about. I'm gonna have to spin this a bit because the white is quite thick, the white base. Okay, so that was all transparent paints. The next one we are gonna do is, I'm gonna do Piggy Transparent Opaque, Piggy Transparent, okay? So meaning the opaque will have 2 colors underneath it, a pigment and a transparent tube, and you will see whatever. I'm not expecting beauteousness, but you can see how watercolory and undefined, and again, I'm not saying it in a bad way. That's just what happens with a transparent paints. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so same thing. I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna put as much so I don't have to spin it as much. Okay, ooh. All right. Then I will do Athena. Okay. Then I will do the violet, and the opaque I'm going to use is this teal. Oh, she thickened up. Let me just do a little blue as we go. It's really important to adjust your paints as you go if you find something is kind of off, which can happen. Okay. Notice how things are like kind of falling off to the side. Let me get her back in the middle. Okay, and then I said I was gonna do another piggy and a transparent, and we will do the same thing. And now we'll see how the teal, if I do it correctly, kind of hugs the cells. Okay, remember my conditions aren't ideal. You can definitely see the teal, here you can see here how it's surrounding right here. And again, it would look much nicer if all my paints were perfect, but you get like beautiful halos around your cells. Okay, that, you can see it in many spots, but that is what the opaque does. And see what happens if you don't blow in? That's what your whole piece would look like. It's okay in some parts, but again, you just have to be careful about how much you put down and how you layer. Also, I know the lighting here isn't great because it's just like a cloudy day. So I hope you're getting an idea of what I'm talking about. So now, the next one I'm gonna do is the teal on top. And then the last one I will do is, I only have 3 opaques, but hopefully you'll get the picture of what I mean. Again, this isn't like the prettiest color combo, but it's for learning. You know what I mean? Okay, next, let's do the exact same thing with the opaque on top. So I'm gonna go like this, probably 1.5, and I'll do the same colors. Hi, you wanna come say hi? My invisible friends. I'm doing a video. Some people watch my videos, actually. Oh. You can come introduce yourself.
I don't think it's necessary.
My sister thinks I'm talking to imaginary people. There are a few people who actually watch what I do.
Yeah?
I know, isn't it crazy?
It is.
I know. I'll be done shortly, though.
Okay.
We're learning about opaque paints, if you have any interest. She doesn't. Mm-hmm.
Just give me a sec here.
All right, you can close that door. I'll be out soon. Okay, so we have Piggy Violet. I'll do another Piggy, why not? Piggy, why don't I do Piggy Violet, Piggy, and just, ooh, you know what would be cool? So the other opaque I have, by the way, is Ivory Black. And why don't we use that as the opaque topper? Now again, I might have put too much, so I gotta be careful how I blow. Okay. And here we go. Opaque on top is the most, I wouldn't say challenging, but you have to be the most careful with because you don't want to cover up everything. You can see how in a lot of spots, how it goes around the edges, kind of like popping through. I didn't blow so hard here. And then some areas where I didn't blow through at all, it's all black. I love using black as a color, especially I love using it in the middle. I feel it really gives such a good outline and breaks through your colors. So again, I'm not getting, because I'm using weird things, I'm not getting like And I'm also using white cell activator. So remember, white gives you lacing. Dark cell activator gives you rounder cells. When you use rounder cells, you'll see them more prominently. So when you use dark, but you can see I have like little bullseye cells here, little bullseye cells there. That's what happens when the color is on top and breaks through. I did a pretty good job blowing it because you don't see much of the black, which is what we want. Now, for the final, I'm doing all opaques. Now this color combo is a little crazy, but this is kind of all I had. So all I'm gonna use is the black, the teal, and a very ugly green, which is opaque. But I'm really hoping, again, if I was using dark cell activator, which I wish I was, if it didn't dry out, you would see the cells more prominently. But you kind of just gotta go with what you got. I think I'm gonna I'll start with the teal first. Now these, doesn't matter how you're layering because they're all opaque. So you can, you know, do what you want with them as long as you blow nicely. So theoretically, because these are all opaque, they should have really pretty peacock cells within them. And the more opaques you use, you'll get more like bullseye looking cells. So let's see. So I only have one perfect one in the middle, but you can kind of see in the middle how they are all outlining each other. And that basically is what a peacock cell is, when you see those outlines. So all opaques, again, it's really fun if you're, especially again, use your dark cell activator, if you're looking for popping cells. That's why opaque paints are so magical, and they kind of get a bad rap. And if you kind of use them, this one actually isn't bad. If you use them carefully, then they really give really great depth to your pieces. And I know in some methods of pouring, it doesn't really matter if you're using opaque or not, but especially when you're actually layering and want to see interest within your cells, paying attention to that is super duper important. So let's see how we ended up here. Yeah, so you can see within here, all the different layers. Let's do a close-up of all of them and we'll get a kind of idea, and you'll tell me, how do you feel about opaques? I hope this really helped you. And how were you using them before, and how are you gonna use them now? Okay, have a good day, bye. Okay, so here they are. This was all, oops, hold on. All transparent. You can see it really has that transparent quality to it. This was the opaque in the middle. You can see a little bit more, you know, outlining of it. This was the opaque on top. Okay, and this was all opaque. Now, again, maybe I'll do another video using a dark cell activator, or maybe you should try too, because you'll really see more of the difference then. But let me know what you guys think. I hope you enjoyed. Have a good day. Bye-bye.